Greetings and welcome to ValoU. I'm Zaladrith and I'll be your instructor for today. Today's class is Macro 250, Rock Paper Scissors of Macro. A lot of attacker teams think strategy is as simple as choosing site A or site B. They then simply loudly push this site until one team is all dead. In reality, there are an infinite amount of strategies, but for this class, let's take a look at 3 specific attacker and 3 specific defender strategies in particular to simplify things to a point where we can analyze how they work. Like rock, paper, scissors, by predicting the general strategy your opponent will employ, you can choose the counter strategy to punish them, increasing your chances of winning the round. We'll go through these 6 strategies one by one, alternating between attacker and defender strategies. The first attacker and defender strategies that we'll talk about involves playing fast. In a loud rush, attackers group up and fully commit to charging into sight right out of the gate, attempting to run over enemies who miss the chance to lay down utility to stall for reinforcements. To counter a loud rush, defenders dump all the util they can to stall for as long as possible, as all their other teammates either fast rotate through spawn to help hold, or take risks by fast flanking. Since the enemy team is concentrated in one area, risky flanks can pay off in quickly pincering enemies so that they're vulnerable to abilities and gunfire from both sides. If they try to push onto site or leave, they still have to contend with defenders' advantage, making either option extremely dangerous for them. Next, we'll go into some slower paced strategies. For attackers to counter util stalling and fast rotating, we take a trickier approach. While strong side makes noise as if they're loud rushing, forcing defenders to waste util on stalling a push that will never come, attackers can play 1 or 2 lurkers on weak side who can use defenders' advantage to pick off anyone attempting a risky fast flank. To punish fast rotators, these lurkers can now also push through the weak side of the map, taking large swaths of map control. At this point, they can call for their team to rotate, converting the useless weak side territory into the most valuable territory on the map, as attackers can safely plant open, and defenders now need to rotate through lurker-controlled territory, just to even reach the site to attempt a retake with hardly any utility remaining. To counter this distract and lurk, defenders can conserve utility until they think the real execute is coming, and instead of rotating all 5 defenders to one site, only rotating 1 or 2 players to where the hit seems most likely. Defenders leave anchors guarding any claimed map control without taking large risks like fast flanking, in order to keep their defenders' advantage to punish any split-up lurkers that might attempt to sneak through. And the longer that attackers take without successfully sneaking a lurker through, the more time is wasted on the clock for the actual execute. Plus, defenders will have conserved more utility to stall or retake against it. And now to counter these slower strategies, let's take a look at utility-based attacker and defender strategies. To counter the passive, static defense of a team that hard anchors and conserves utility, attackers can play contact to silently slow walk all the way up to the entrance of a site. Then, they count off to all execute on the site with all their utility at the same time. Defenders won't have much time to use any utility in response, and with a typical 2-on-2 defense, will be at an overwhelming numerical disadvantage since rotations will come late. To counter the silent sneak up, defenders can use utility to scout for info and carefully push out wherever the enemies aren't. The utility will either discover the grouped up enemies outright, allowing a safer, faster flank weak side, or if no enemies are discovered, then other areas of the map can be reinforced with more defenders or utility, essentially similar to how a loud rush is punished. The only difference being defender side flankers will have more time to sneak out and flank. And to counter all this util scouting and careful flanking, just play the original attacker loud rush and run over pushing defenders who are out of position or wasting their util to scout the map. Any flanking defenders will be much slower to get to the other site in time, and have used up util they could have used for retake. While not comprehensive, hopefully these specific examples help give you an idea of how to evaluate the pros and cons of different strategies, and how they can be countered. When watching extremely high-level play, things will be much more complex, with more specific sub-goals and set plays in motion to eke out little advantages and surprise the enemy, but that's course material for another time. In summary, we have many strategies for attack and defense, but we talked in depth about 3 attacker and 3 defender strategies in particular. Attackers can loud rush as 5. To counter that, defenders can util stall and fast rotate. To counter that, attackers can distract on strong side and lurk for kills and map control on weak side. To counter that, defenders can conserve their util and anchor their side of the map. To counter that, attackers can sneak up playing contact, then full util execute. To counter that, defenders can scout with util and push out carefully. And to counter that, we can go full circle and attackers can loud rush to run defenders over. That's all for today's lesson. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the lecturer or the TAs in the comments below. Thanks for attending, and we hope you enjoy your stay here at ValoU.